Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And this morning when I walked out to my garage, I noticed that every single one of my mini crawlers was completely assembled, all sitting there on the shelf, nothing was broken. So I thought I'd take this time, go through each and every single one of them, show you a little bit about them, and just kind of have some fun. I'll also leave a timestamp down in the description box below so that way you can skip to any of the vehicles that you want to see. If there's one that you want to see more than others, you can go ahead and click those. But let's go ahead and start with my competition build. This is my new and improved competition build that I based off a Little Guy Racing Parts comp frame chassis. It uses most of their parts with a few other parts from other companies mixed in there. Wheels and tires are going to be from Injora. They are actually brass wheels with a brass ring on the inside. And then I'm also going to be running the 65mm comp pin tires. For the body, I believe this is a J Concepts Ford F-150 body. I believe it's a 1990. And then I went ahead and attached that just using some Velcro and a Little Guy Racing Parts custom printed mount in the back right there, for that way it can hinge upwards. I tried to make this as clean and neat as possible, and again, with most of these builds I actually have a dedicated video for every single one of them, so if you want to go ahead and check those out, I'll leave them in time cards up here in the top right. Servo wise, I'm using a Shift RCS Nano M, very fast, very reliable. I do like these. And then as a transmitter and receiver combo, I'll be running the Spectrum SR215 with the Spectrum DX5C. I'll also be running a Micro Komodo brushless motor and the Little Guy Racing Parts transmission right there. Everything is pretty much billet aluminum that I could have gotten, so I really like this build. It's done a lot of good work for me, and these Super 8 axles help out really well with extending the track width of the actual truck itself. Next up, we have my first FMS crawler. This is going to be the FMS FCX18. This is the second edition of this truck. They're on to number 3 right now. Number 2 came with this hard body with a sub interior on the inside. As you can see, I was able to fit a little toy dirt bike guy in there. I had a lot of fun with this actually. It's pretty scale. I ended up adding in some D-ring hooks, a scale winch that looks like has come loose, some hello lights in the front, and then a functional light bar on the top. Again, I'll be running some Little Guy Racing Parts wheels with their Trench King tires on here. I love these wheels. I think it provides a great look to the truck, especially with that bronze goldish paint job. Since this is a little bit of an older truck, there was some custom modification that I did have to do to it. For instance, I had to put on some oil-filled chocks from a TRX4M, as there wasn't any at the time out on the market. I also had to add in my own custom Treel lowered links, again, because there wasn't any on the market. Those are brass, and then I ended up throwing on some brass counterweights. There's nothing really much else done to this vehicle, except for the fact that I did convert it into a portal axle. The V2 and the V1 did not come with portal axles, but the V3 did. Again, those didn't really work that well when I took the V3s and put them on the V2, so there's a lot of custom modification that I had to go along with that. It was actually a pretty lengthy and in-depth process, but it really paid off in the end because I just love the way that this looks, and making videos on this, it just looks super scale. Next up is going to be a 1/24th scale replica of my old truck. This was modeled after a 2021 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro that I had. I ended up moving on to the 2024 model, but at the time this was actually a very scale replica to what I actually had. The cool thing about this is that I got this from Iceberg RC, the body that is, and he actually had some old 3D printed wheels laying around that replicate that of the TRD Pro from when I had that on my 2021. I also threw on some Falcon Wild Peak tires. These are the exact same tires that I run on my Tacoma now and that I had on my previous truck. I also threw on a little light bar in the front because that's exactly the way that I had it. I'll try to throw in some photos and some videos up here on the screen. And then I also put in some ditch pod lights right there as well. All those are functional, and it actually worked out pretty great. Other than that, I left the truck basically stock. I wanted to keep this a cheap build. It's just based off of a normal SCX24 that you would find at the hobby store. Next up is my most recent build that I have done, and I am absolutely blown away by how well this has turned out. This is a new FMS FCX18 flatbed truck. It is modeled off a Chevy K10. Very cool. Again, I've done a lot of modifications to this so far. Ended up putting in a front light bar, functional roof lights, Put in a Scale snowmobile in the back, Scale Yeti cooler, some stickers, a gas can, and then I believe that I have also done some work underneath as well. I'll be putting in a Mofo RC Torque Beast motor on the inside of it just to help out for when I run this in the snow. Then I also threw on some Batrazi links with Endura TRX4M shocks as well. I won't get into too much of this truck as I have just made a video on that. You can check that out in the top right hand side of your screen right now if you'd like. But let's go ahead and move on to my last truck. This last truck is what I call my free truck. It is a competition build that I built out of all components that I have used from other builds that I basically have just been storing away. So I thought I'd go ahead and slap them on and just build something. And let me tell you this free build right here pretty much is equivalent in performance wise to this truck right here. Now there's certain things that this one can do that this one can't and vice versa, but I will say for parts that I just had laying around, this build right here came out absolutely awesome. When you talk about a hodgepodge of parts, this basically describes this truck. There are so many different brands of parts on here, I can't even describe which ones are which, but I'll try to do my best. I am going to be running the new FuryTech Venom with a Lizard Pro in there, and again with a Spectrum receiver. Again, a lot of custom work was done to this vehicle in order to make everything fit in this compact body. And speaking of bodies, this is the Endura Rock Buggy chassis. I'll go ahead and leave a link to that down below. Throw in a new EcoPower servo right there that actually mounts directly to the axle itself, so that way you don't need a servo mount. Very cool. And then I also threw on some Endura widened, I think these are +4mm axles as well. So there's a lot of custom work that has gone into this, and honestly, a lot of custom work has gone into all these trucks. Pretty much every single truck here that you see, there is a dedicated video up on my channel. If there's not, there should be a dedicated short going over these. I know this is a quick overview, but I at least wanted to share with you guys all my trucks in their final completed state. Well, maybe not final, but definitely in a good state to where I can move forward with and building other projects. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.